Okay, with part two of our discussion of Congress versus the President, we're going to get a little bit into Congress's control. And, understanding the dynamic of the conflict between President and Congress, you need to remember that Congress is elected by a different constituency than the President. Congressmen in the House represent small districts of about 600,000 people with very localized interests, and senators represent states with a very diverse set of standards and issues that matter to their people, whereas the president represents all 50 states, all 435 congressional districts, the vast majority of our country represented in the hands of the president. So those different constituencies really serve to drive a wedge between the two. And so Congress exerts some different ways of controlling the president. First off is the power of the purse. Congress has control over our money. While the president proposes a budget, it is Congress that has to approve that spending plan and then appropriate or designate to spend that money. So when the president has a big, broad program that he wants enacted, he needs Congress to give him money to do that. We talked about a little bit in foreign policy, but the same holds true, this idea of the power of the purse. If the president wants to get involved in a foreign conflict, a military conflict overseas, he's going to need the purse and the congressional spending power to back up that war effort. Another area that we see Congress's control is in legislation. Congress writes the laws of our land, and they can set parameters. They can limit the scope of presidential influence. Some of the things that they do as far as legislation, in this whole, we've got this idea of the filibuster, filibustering presidential agenda items. They also have the tool of impeachment. The president can be impeached by the House of Representatives. They can serve him with the articles of impeachment, accusing him of high crimes and misdemeanors. And then the Senate will go through with a trial and actually try the president, and it's the Senate who can actually remove the president from office. Now, the last area of conflict that I want to touch on with this discussion is presidential appointments. So the president has the power to appoint judges, they have the power to appoint cabinet members, heads of executive departments, ambassadors. So a large percentage of our upper level government officials are appointed by the president. However, all those appointments are done under the Constitution on the advice and consent of the Senate. So the Senate gets to determine whether or not these appointments follow through. And in recent administrations, we've seen a heavy use of the filibuster and the threat of a filibuster to hold appointments back and to prevent appointments from being done. We also see what are called holds, where a senator will put a hold on a nomination to prevent action from happening on it. So there's been a lot of ways in recent administrations where the senators have kind of messed with the presidential appointments that have been going through, and that has served to undermine one of the powers that the president has.